you're gonna take everything out of your bag. So remember, you have your basic ingredients all in the one bag with your cup of oil. And then you have a bag of extra flour that we put 3 cups of flour in. You are not going to use all of this flour. All right, you'll have some extra. So don't use all of it. You're not just gonna dump it all in there. So you're gonna take the first bag with your cup of oil, and we're gonna dump our oil in there. And then you're gonna add 1 cup of warm water. Again, I trust that you all have enough common sense to know what warm water is. It just shouldn't be too hot. If it is too hot, you're gonna kill your yeast and your baking experiment won't work. If it's too cold, your bread's not gonna rise. So dump your oil in there and then get your warm water. All right, so 8 ounces or 1 cup of warm water. And then you're gonna zip back up your bag. And you're gonna start mixing it. Now you can see at first, it is just a gooey, gross mess. And hopefully your zip top stays more zipped than mine does. If it doesn't, just hold the top like this. We just wanna first incorporate all of the ingredients with the water. All right, once you have a pretty runny, sticky batter, I want you to add your flour a cup at a time. All right, if you just have, you can just use any kind of scoop, but add about a cup at a time. You shouldn't add more than 2.5 cups from that bag. You might not even use the whole 2.5 cups. So there's about a cup of flour. I'm gonna zip up my bag. I'm gonna start mixing it until all that flour is incorporated. So just keep squishing it. Again, if your bag doesn't stay zipped, because these ones with the slides aren't staying closed, it seems. Just kind of hold the top of it. You just don't want to see any dry powder or dry flour in your bag. Oops, sorry, I hit my tripod. All right, so it's getting thicker. You can see it's thicker. It's not quite so gooey. I want to add another couple scoops of the flour. And then I'm just gonna continue and I'm gonna zip up the bag and keep mixing it. What I'm looking for is for the dough to pull away from the sides of the bag. Like right now, it's not pulling away, it's still too sticky. So just keep mixing it. Okay, so I'm getting some pull away. If you can see, it's not sticking to the sides of the bag. That's what I'm looking for. I just want to make sure that all that flour I incorporated in there is hydrated, but it's pulling away from the bag. That's what this step is. If it's not pulling away, add 1 more scoop of flour, just a little bit, and work it in there. We just don't want it to be super sticky when we start kneading it. All right, the dough is pulling away from the bag. As I roll it over, I do have 1 sticky spot. I need to work a little bit more flour in just that one area. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of my flour. Not very much, just a little bit. And just keep working it in right in the bag. Okay, looks like that took care of that one sticky area. Now I'm ready to turn it out on my counter or your table and start kneading it. So just get a tiny bit of your extra flour and sprinkle it around. All right, you don't want a lot, but it's a good idea to kind of push a pile over to the side. Bakers call this the bench, and you'll use that bench flour if you need it. It's kind of like in basketball. If you're not a starter, you sit on the bench because they may not need you, but you're there just in case they do. All right, so turn out your flour or your dough. Try and get as much of it as you can out of the bag, and then coat your hands with some flour and you're gonna start kneading it. So to knead, you use the heel of your hand, and you're gonna push the dough away from you, fold it, and then turn it. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. You just keep doing that over and over. You're gonna do this for about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how hard you're pushing. If it starts to stick, just get some of that bench flour, put it on there. All right, so I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm not gonna make you watch because watching somebody knead bread dough is about as entertaining as watching paint dry. All right, if it's super sticky at first, just keep working it. Again, do not use all of that flour in your bag at this point. The more you knead it, the better it will start to make those gluten and it won't be sticky. So I've been kneading for about 4 minutes. You can see that I'm not sticking anymore. My hands aren't sticky. So don't panic if it's sticking. All right, just keep working it. It eventually will come together, I promise. All right, if you look in my extra flour bag, I probably still have about 2/3 of a cup left. All right, do not add all of the flour from that bag. All right, so it's about halfway through. It's still kind of lumpy and bumpy. It's not smooth yet. So I need to go for about another 4 minutes, and then we'll look at what it should look like before you let it proof for the first time. All right, it's been 10 minutes. It actually was a little bit closer to 12, but here's my dough. You can see it's really smooth. What I need to do now is I need to let it proof for that first proofing session. So I'm gonna put it in a bowl. If you have some nonstick spray at home, spray the bowl and then spray the top of it. Cover it with a towel. If you have some butter, margarine, any kind of oil will do the same thing. You just don't want it to stick to the bowl while it's rising. So just let it sit, hang out for about 45 minutes to an hour. It needs to double in size. You do still have that extra about 3/4 cup of flour, maybe even a whole cup. Hold on to that because we're gonna need a little bit of it as we knead it one more time and shape it into the loaf. So don't get rid of it, hold on to it. Rectangle shape, it's okay if it's an oval shape. Now to shape it into the loaf, if you're making the loaf, you're gonna bring in these corners and fold them down like this. And same thing with this end. And then what you do is you're just gonna start rolling it. All right, when you get to the end, kind of pinch it. That's gonna be the bottom of your loaf. Make sure it's sealed, and then you tuck in the edges and pinch it, and then you're gonna put it in your loaf pan and let it rise. All right, so both the monkey bread and the loaf of bread have to rise again. After you bake it, don't forget to send me a picture. You need to be in the picture, either eating your yeast bread or just holding it. And I hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you later.